Welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into the curious case of American farms facing a Chinese boycott, and yet farmers staying surprisingly optimistic.
I'm excited to dig into that. So, what's the situation exactly?
Well, you see, China's been shifting its supply chains away from American agricultural products, instead favoring
Right.
imports from Russia and South America.
That sounds like a serious strategic pivot.
Exactly. Over 12 billion in US farm exports to China is essentially at risk. And there are now no outstanding orders scheduled for the rest of this year.
Wow, that's a huge blow. Yet somehow American farmers are saying we're still optimistic. How's that even possible?
It's fascinating. Despite falling commodity prices and the abrupt loss of the market, farmers remain upbeat. They're
Yeah.
banking on the idea that, new opportunities will arise from alternative markets.
So, they're basically expecting new partnerships to emerge, right?
Right, right. And you see, with demand now being met by booming exports from Brazil and Argentina, there's a kind of market realignment. It's like when the tide turns and you have to adjust your sails.
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy.
And there's also an element of resilience here. American trade officials are scrambling, no, rather hustling, to open up new markets in Europe, Asia, and anywhere else that can absorb these agricultural products.
I imagine that must be quite a challenge. High tariffs in other industries are disincentivizing partners from, switching over.
Yep, those high tariffs are pushing some buyers towards Brazil, where the playing field is a bit, more level. But American officials remain determined to barnstorm the world in search of fresh opportunities.
I get that optimism. Though, don't you think it's a bit of a stretch to overcome such a massive market shift overnight?
That's a solid point. There's a real
Exactly.
challenge in pivoting trade relationships quickly enough to make up for the lost revenue from China.
So, essentially, while Chinese demand is drying up for American ag, time is on the side of emerging markets like Brazil and Argentina.
Exactly. And it's not just about replacing orders, it's about exploring totally new consumer bases. The momentum in Brazil and Argentina is so strong that it's reshaping global agricultural trade.
It really does sound like a global game of musical chairs where the US is scrambling to grab a new seat.
Haha, that's a neat way of putting it. It's like they're forced to innovate and adapt to a quickly changing geopolitical environment.
But don't you think that this pivot might also expose some underlying vulnerabilities in US agricultural policy or trade strategy?
Absolutely, and that's what I find so intriguing. The optimism seems to be partly born out of determination, but also perhaps a need to present a resilient front, even when things look grim.
Yeah, it's almost like adopting a fake it till you make it mantra under pressure.
Exactly, but it's also a sign that American agriculture has the potential to diversify. The idea is to explore other lucrative markets and reduce dependence on any single partner.
Right. Diversification is key in any global trade scenario. But I have to ask, is this optimism truly justified? Or is it more of a political narrative to keep hearts high?
That's a very good question. I mean, look at it this way. The numbers are there. Over $12 billion in potential exports, and a market shift that has already dramatically favored our competitors from South America.
Indeed.
So while the optimism might be partially strategic, there's real potential for recovery if new markets materialize quickly.
That's interesting because on one hand, you have this massive economic hit, and on the other, a forced push into innovation.
Yep, yeah. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, while the immediate buzz is negative, the long-term effects could lead to a more robust, diversified trading strategy.
And this shift could even serve as a wake-up call to overhaul some of those older trading policies that might have kept the US tethered to a singular market.
Exactly, it's like a catalyst for evolution in the agricultural trade sector. Even though there's a significant temporary loss, there's an opportunity to rebuild stronger partnerships.
Yeah, and that strategy of hunting for new markets and new partners is something we've seen before in history, right?
Right, so
It's a classic case of turning adversity into opportunity.
absolutely. And it's interesting because while the Chinese boycott might seem like a major setback, it forces innovation in unexpected places.
But I wonder, Do you think there's a risk that these new markets might not fully replace what was lost, or that they might come with their own complications, like political instability or different tariff regimes?
That's a fair challenge. There's
You know,
definitely a risk factor involved. New markets might have their own sets of challenges, from fluctuating prices to, unique regulatory hurdles.
so while optimism is high, there's also a prudent caution underlying these moves.
Precisely. It's a mix of cautious optimism with an eye on potential pitfalls. American farmers know it's a high stakes game, and every pivot in global trade comes with its uncertainties.
And yet, in the face of a changing global landscape, maybe that's exactly the type of audacity needed to reinvent themselves.
Exactly that. A willingness to adapt even when the card dealt isn't ideal. It's like having to repackage your product for a whole new audience with different tastes.
And sometimes that kind of forced reinvention can lead to unexpected breakthroughs, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like if you think about how companies reinvent themselves during downturns, it's the same principle. Despite the Chinese boycott causing a seismic shift, there's potential here for reinvigorating US agriculture with new trade relationships and innovative approaches.
It's a bold gamble, relying on the strength of diversification and global market realignment.
Correct. And while some critics might say the optimism is misplaced or overly hopeful, there's no denying that crises often force industries to evolve and sometimes even thrive in the long run.
Yeah, indeed. So, in essence, while China's boycott presents a significant short term challenge, the resilience and strategic shifts happening within American agriculture could, with time, create a more diversified and globally integrated trade system.
Exactly. It's a story of strategic realignment and the unpredictable nature of global trade, where a setback in one area can drive innovation and discovery elsewhere.
And that, in a nutshell, explains why farmers remain optimistic despite the current hurdles.
Right on. It'll be fascinating to see how this unfolds, whether new partnerships will fully offset the losses and possibly even propel U.S. agriculture to new heights.
Absolutely. Big changes ahead, and we'll be here to watch every twist and turn.
Thanks for the engaging conversation. Stay tuned as we keep our eyes on these global shifts and bring you more insights as they develop.
Until next time, keep questioning and exploring.